Listen up! There is a storm coming! Like nothing you have ever seen!
Well, howdy, folks. Hope you're going all right. Make sure that you can hear me in the chat. I'll scream down the bottom and make sure that the thing is working. Somebody gives me a thumbs up. I've been playing around with microphone settings today, and hopefully you will be hearing me at least a little bit better until I can get my other gear out, which will happen in the next few days. So thumbs up if it's all working all right. Cheers to you, and hello to the folks on Rumble who are on that screen tonight. G'day, Mars, and I'll try and keep an eye on that screen as well for chat because you guys don't come in the main one here. Well, what an interesting weekend it's been, kids, eh? Look, let's start with something a little bit closer to home for all of us. The book is full tonight, I got to tell you. Let's start here. So this morning I received a message from a very good friend of mine telling me about the price of gold and silver, which had gone up and just seems to have been going up over the last few days. And sure enough, the price of a kilo of silver was $1,332. And I think the price of gold was a little over $3,200. I rang Paul at Ainsley Bullion, and we had a good chat, great long chat. In fact, we were going to record a chat, but he got caught up this afternoon and unfortunately couldn't do it. So I'm going to try and arrange that again in the next few days. But we will definitely catch up before Christmas. Funnily enough, as I was waiting for Paul to come into the chat and we were going to record it this afternoon, Michael from Ainsley in Melbourne rang me. And we had another really good chat about a whole heap of different issues. But we did come down to, what the business of precious metals is doing at the moment. And he is, and what I'm about to tell you, folks, don't construe this in any way as financial advice. I don't do that sort of shit. I'm going to tell you some stuff that he told me. If I was in a certain situation, I would probably do X, Y, or Z. I might give you those ideas, but that's only what I would do if I was in the situation. So, yeah, not financial advice, but just here's what I heard. So a lot of people have been coming in and doing buybacks, okay? So that means that you've bought your silver and you've seen the price of silver today, and that's a good increase over what you paid for it, and you've run in and sold it. Now, that's okay. That's fine. That's well and good. Because I'm only very new to all of this, but everyone that I've spoken to who has some experience with buying gold and silver and keeping it and trading it or selling it at the right time, just about every one of them, to a man and woman, has said to me, have a goal in mind of where you will step out when the price reaches a certain point. If you buy at, A, have a point in your mind where you're happy to sell once it hits that price. Now, will that be the top of the market? Maybe, maybe not. Might be a little bit shy of that. But give yourself that option, right? Have a goal of a set price in mind that you want for your, let's call it silver, before you will put it up for sale. Now, that leads to the question, are we at the top of the market? And in my opinion, in Michael's opinion, and it's only their opinions, by no means financial advice, they don't think so. What was expressed was not shock, but a significant amount of surprise at how lively the precious metals market is in December, because historically it is not active at this time of the year, but for this year it seems to be. So, use your own discernment if you've already set that goal, and maybe you were lucky enough to buy silver when it was down at, $26 an ounce or $22 an ounce or something like that. That's a little while ago now. But, today, and in fact, let's bring it up right now, we can see exactly what the price is. Let me put it up on the big screen so I can actually. Oh no, it's here, is it? Bloody hell! Get it right. So the price is $37.96. Now that's down fractionally from what it was earlier this afternoon. It was a tad over $38. And as you can see, the spot gold price is $3,108 an ounce. And that's down from what my mate texted me this morning. I think it was 32.18 on that. Now that's the spot price for gold and silver. Platinum is also down fractionally from what I saw at around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Bear in mind this is live numbers, so it's I don't know, down maybe $50. So fluctuations are normal. Have we hit the top of the market? Have we not? Well, I don't know. The black line here is silver, the price of silver, and you can see right now it's trading at 38.28. So just over, and the price of gold was at 3,135. This is information freely available, all the historical data, on the Ainsley website. Live bullion prices, and of course if you want to have a look at the historical charts, you can do all that too. And if you understand technical charts like that, then by all means you may enjoy delving into there. They are a really, really wonderful resource, and highly commend it to you if you are getting into the market. So that's the deal. Are we at the top of the market? No, who knows? This could be the beginning of a bull run on precious metals. And do you want to buy more? Do you want to sell some? So, and it also, at this time of year, there are a lot of financial pressures on people. It's Christmas. You want to get something for the kids. You've got to participate in the pagan festival or the non-pagan festival or the ritual they used to replace the pagan festival that was a festival for something else that had nothing to do with Jesus. At any rate, and I know it's hard when you've got kids, if you are going to participate, don't use the credit card. And if you do have a little bit of silver, then maybe it's better that you go and sell that, or a little bit of gold, maybe you sell that. But don't go using the credit card. Don't go getting yourselves in debt. I know from experience, it's very painful and long experience to get yourself out of the shit with. So, don't go using credit cards. If you do happen to have a little bit of silver and you think you're going to need to have a big Christmas and you want to go and sell some of it, then by all means go and do it. But keep some in reserve, because I have a sneaking little suspicion that that things might just about go a little bit higher here. So just watch the markets, watch what happens in America tonight. I think that'll be pretty significant. Now, I'm going to get into this next subject, and I'm going to tell you that I'm not sure if it'll be tomorrow night's show, but at some stage tomorrow, I'm going to do a Rumble-only show. So if you are watching this on any of the YouTube channels, or I think I'm only going to and Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook or any of the YouTube channels, then and you want to see this Rumble show, then go over and get yourself into the Voice of Freedom over on Rumble, and get yourself registered so that you will get a notification when the show is going to happen. I'm guessing at this stage it'll probably be tomorrow during the day. I'm trying to get a little bit more information, but I have a lot of stuff that I would like to share with you tonight, but it's become quite apparent that if I do share it with you, then I'll lose all of the YouTube channels pretty much instantaneously. But you know me, I like putting things to the test. So if we do disappear off these channels, then rest assured the Rumble channel will have shows going forward until whatever channel you're viewing now lets me come back on. So make sure that you know how to find Rumble. That's rumble.com. Go to the search engine, type in Ozeye, O-Z-E-Y-E, or Voice of Freedom. You'll find the shows. If you want to register, you have to register if you want to make a comment and if you want to get a notification. But there's no joining fee or anything like that. It's just like registering for anything else. So if you're happy enough to do that, then would love to have you do that. It would be very cool indeed. before I get into the thing that I'm avoiding talking about, you all saw this thing from Elon Musk.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
Well, he's created a bit of a movement, and now it seems to be going into mainstream media.
Underscore for the audience. He's 52 years old. This is a 52-year-old man who feels the need to say dirty words to make people shocked. It's bizarre. And
Cara, what's bizarre is that the same big brands that stop advertising on X don't seem to have a problem advertising on TikTok and Instagram, both of which have algorithms that promote pedophile networks. I'm sitting here listening to you, and you don't seem to have a problem with that neither. So if you have a problem with Elon Musk being frustrated over advertisers trying to blackmail him into censoring free speech, frankly, you should go ahead and fuck yourself.
Stand up, get into it. I think that's bloody wonderful. All right. Something that will take the smile off your face. If you're aware of the Liz Gunn story that came out of New Zealand Loyal, you will know that the New Zealand statistician, the only man in charge of the database for New Zealand, a total of 2.2 million people, the only bloke needed to manage it from top to bottom, designed it from top to bottom, and managed it from top to bottom, came out as a whistleblower and came to Liz Gunn and New Zealand Loyal to give the data that he had access to that surrounded the jibbity jab and that great rollout. Now, if you haven't seen that video, it is on my Facebook page still, because I checked just before I came on. So if you are a friend of mine on Facebook, then go and get it while you can, because Zuckerfuck and his mates are taking it off everywhere it's being posted. It has been banned on YouTube, and the whistleblower and an assistant apparently have had their houses surrounded, and they have been arrested. Now, a little earlier today, the man who was second in charge of the NZ Loyal Party, a party that Liz Gunn runs and heads, and did make a run in the last election. His name is Loudon Courtney, and he made this plea.
Hello to the people of New Zealand and the world. My name is Logan Courtney, and before 2 p.m. yesterday, I was the deputy leader of a political party in New Zealand called NZ Loyal. Our leader, Liz Gunn, who is also a trained journalist, released a piece where a whistleblower and herself discussed a highly controversial issue. As a result, our leader has had to go into hiding because the police have arrested and charged the whistleblower for allegedly misusing and disclosing vaccination data while spreading misinformation about COVID-19. The health department, which filed the charges, has entered an injunction so that the data cannot be disclosed to the public. As of today, the whistleblower will be charged at 10 a.m. at the Wellington court. This tells the truth. This isn't about COVID-19. This is about stopping freedom of speech. This is being done through intimidation in the legal system. As a result, I'm asking for political and financial help from the world. First, I ask all political parties in New Zealand to do the right thing. This is your first test as the leaders of New Zealand. I ask the Governor-General to perform the duty that you were elected for. And for the political parties around the world, I ask that you hold New Zealand to account for these actions. I ask all media around the world to bring to light this injustice. To the people of the world, I ask that you share this far and wide in all forms of media. And I would love it if you could email Christopher Luxon, David Seymour, and Winston Peters, who are our leaders, directly to intervene. New Zealand Loyal has engaged our lawyer to represent the whistleblower, and I ask that if you wish to support us, please go to the nzloyal.org.nz website and click on the Donate Now button. This is a watershed moment, and I invite everyone from the left and the right, please meet us in the middle to defend all of our right to free speech. This is a pillar of our democracy. May God defend New Zealand during this time.
What he didn't mention, well, I agree with everything he said. What he didn't really get to is it's more than just about free speech. This is about access to truthful data that they refuse to release. And they are using, I don't know how they're going to use identifying information as some form of charge, because there is no identifying information in the entire video. But if you haven't seen it, I can tell you that if you lived or know people in the South Island, then the South Island is predominantly where the highest effects are happening. This statistician has broken the data down not just island to island, but town to town, and deeper than that. He has broken it down into each injection or each administration site, and he has gone further, has broken it down to the vaccinator, the person who did the jibbity jabbing. He has then been able to drill even further into the batch numbers of the juice, and then into the details of the people that received the jab. He knows how many people were jabbed by whom and how many of them are no longer with us. And that is, in fact, why he turned to be a whistleblower. This information is sadly not going to be unique. It will be the same in every country around the world. What makes this unique is that there is only one person in charge of the lot, one person seeing everything coming in on that Excel spreadsheet. In Australia, we won't have one statistician to do that. We'll have the head statistician for sure, but that person will sit there and get a whole heap of reports handed to them, and they'll just rubber stamp that and move that on. If there is things to be hidden, they will be well hidden in the department before it gets to that point, because there are people all over the country working in those roles. Why? Well, because we're not a population of 2.2 million. We're a population of 26 million. Now expand that to 340 million in America, or any other country you choose to imagine. Now, can you imagine one single person having access to all those data points that are coming in and being able to put it together? No, it would be too much for one person to be able to do. So what are the odds that the people in those positions in those countries know what's going on, but are holding the line because they're too shit scared of each other or the people above them, namely the head statistician? This bloke is the head statistician. So I'm going to be really interested to see how they're going to try and prosecute a guy and say he's spreading misinformation when they're the government's own figures. Just raw, without being massaged, without being sugar-coated, obscured, or fluoresced in any other way. The filth that Ardern government did to the New Zealand people, and I believe the Australian people have had the same filthy deed committed against them, is appalling. Just appalling. And they're going to try and do it again next year. And that probably doesn't give you great hope that the world is changing. So we'll probably talk about that another night. I'll get a little bit lost and confused. So New Zealand at the moment is not allowed to talk about this. They're not allowed to know about this. New Zealanders are no longer able to have access to any of this information. You can be damn sure that nobody in the mainstream media is talking about it, and nor are they here. Haven't seen one single story anywhere in mainstream media about this at all. And they're not going to tell us. Why? Because we might want to start asking questions. What about our state statisticians? You know, there's more people that live in Melbourne than live in New Zealand. Do we have one statistician for Victoria? Because, you know, Victoria's probably got 6.5 million people in it, maybe more. What about New South Wales? We know that there's, 7 odd million floating around there. In Queensland, Western Australia, who are these people? Can we reach out, make contact? Here at the Voice of Freedom, we would be very happy to meet a statistician who has access to all the facts and wants to talk about it. And I'm sure Maria Z would be the same. So all of us just want the truth, all of us. And I think for the first time, maybe in the last 3+ years, out of New Zealand, through New Zealand Loyal, we actually got truth, raw truth, in a way that is irrefutable. Now, that's a big word coming from me, because, and probably a big statement, because you know me and numbers. Not so good. I haven't seen these spreadsheets. He is not giving these spreadsheets out to anybody, or everybody. He is certainly handing them out, and Liz Gunn has been handing them out quite well too. In fact, she handed all this data, which had been anonymised, to a UK politician. Now, he brought it up in their house, I think it was Friday, their time, and made quite a good speech, outlined exactly what was going on. And when the opposition or the opposition stood up to that, or the government, I beg your pardon, stood up to that, the woman who rebutted that said, "Oh, that report's already been debunked in a number of countries already." Well, how would a number of other countries debunk the New Zealand official statistics inside 24 hours? Because the story hadn't been out 24 hours by that stage. So that gives you an idea of just how many lies the bastards who proclaim to be working for us in houses of government around the world really aren't. So we need to do something about that. And I will hopefully be able to play you a lot more chunks of that. There are some things of that I would really like to show you if you haven't seen it. And the video still available on my Facebook page at the moment if you haven't seen it. And I have copied the video. I've downloaded it. I have a couple of different sizes. I will post it on Rumble. I'm just wondering about permissions for it to post, but I've sent off a request to NZ Loyal, and hopefully they'll let me republish it, if you like, on Rumble. I think they've got it out on BitChute. You might find it there. But it is imperative that you see this, not just for every New Zealander who might be living here. And I know there are a lot of Kiwis who watch this show from New Zealand. So, guys, I will see. I'll talk to Vince and see what we can do about getting this video posted up on the Voice of Freedom website so you can watch it there if you're not available to get it anywhere in your country. But it is important that everybody sees that. Now, they refer mainly to 2 cities or 2 areas, 2 towns in the South Island, one being Gore and one being Invercargill. Now, I have a particular interest in Gore simply because many, many years ago, like I'm talking back in the 80s, there was a shearers' war going on in Australia between wide and narrow comb. And a lot of the Kiwi boys came over and using wide comb, and a lot of the Aussie boys didn't like that. They were using narrow combs because the Kiwi boys were shearing a lot more sheep. There was a big blue, lots of fights in sheds, lots of strikes in sheds, where nobody would go and work on a farm if they were one way or the other, particularly if they would allow wide combs. So consequently, I was doing discos in pubs in the towns that I was working in radio in at the time as well, because radio's never paid well. And one of those pubs had a whole heap of Kiwis staying at it. They were a shearer crew, and they'd been running around the Western Districts of Victoria. And I became very good friends with a lot of them. When I say very good, once they went home, never heard from them again. But one of them in particular I will never forget. His name was Joe, and threw the fastest punch I have ever seen. Just looked like his shoulder moved and this bloke's nose exploded, and he had his hand in his pocket, as far as I was aware, Joe, the whole time. Fastest punch I've ever seen. Anyway, hell of a bloke, and he became quite good friends with me and my family at the time. I was married, and he was a really good bloke, and came from Gore. So I've never forgotten, because Gore was such an interesting name for a town, I thought at the time. So I'm really hopeful that he hasn't suffered from this madness that's gone down in the Southern Island. Now, in Invercargill, 30% of the people that copped the jibbity jab are dead. 30%. In Gore, it's sort of 22, 23%. In Christchurch, it's 17%. Now, these are huge numbers, considering that the daily average death rate in New Zealand is 0.75. This data that the statistician has released has only been gathered from days on deaths over 120. Okay, because that seems to be the highest peak that they got during their historic winter seasons. About 120 people on a day was the highest, figure up until recently. And that was leading to an average of 0.75 a day. And once the jibbity jab was introduced, that all changes, and the data proves it changes from that time. He has drilled so far down into this, as I say, that he has been able to identify the people who held the needles and plunged them in, and can attribute against the number of people that they vaccinated the amount of deaths that they caused. Now, this data has been anonymized, so those people don't know, or we don't know who those people are. However, I guess if you live in a little town like Gore, or a little place like Invercargill, where there was really only one pharmacy, you could go and get it done. And they named the pharmacy. Well, there's no point in not naming it. It's the only place it could have been done. Then you'll know now, if you see this data, because you'll know how many people you jabbed. And I know you won't, you won't have done it because of any other reason than that you believed what you were told. And that's what we're going to have to deal with, folks, because now this is out. I wonder what's happening in Invercargill and Gore at the places where the jibbity jabs were handed out. I wonder what's happening. Now, if you're in New Zealand and you want to contact me, I would love to hear from you. I want to know if we can help, how we can help, and I think that's just getting information out at the moment. But if you've got something on the ground that's happening and you want to talk about, then by all means, just email me, carl@vofhq.com. I'll set up one of these chats at any time, day or night, and we can have a talk about it. And if you want to do it anonymously, I can also do something on the phone if you want to do it that way. So it's important that this information gets to as many Kiwis as possible, both in New Zealand and here. But it's important that the world gets this information. So please, once I've uploaded this to Rumble, please share it. If you can get to my Facebook page and you can share the MOAR, it's called Mother of All Releases. It's probably about the third story down now, and it's got Liz on the front of it. It's sort of a brown sort of shot that they're using. There are a couple of other ones that are above it, so make sure you get the right one. The Mother of All Releases. Share it as far and wide as you can on every platform that you can. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, if you're on whatever else there is, I don't know these days, then get a part of it and share it. The world has to learn about this. The governments must be made to show the truthful data. Every government in the world is being complicit in this. Everyone. Now, whether they've been naive, whether they've chosen to turn a blind eye, whether or not they're totally evil, at this point, that really doesn't matter. What we need now is to stop the madness and get the people who are in that position out. And it's quite clear from data coming out around the world that they plan on doing this again. Again. And again, I'm sure you and I are going to push back because that's what we do. And God bless us for it, because if we couldn't do this, nobody's got any hope. Speaking of nobody's got any hope, I was going to say this, but I have received a few emails over the weekend and people talking about division in the freedom mob and, yeah. Look, if we can't figure this out with the freedom movements, if we can't figure out how to manage ourselves, how the hell would anyone trust us to manage a country? So for those folks who are preaching unity, which I agree with 100% because I'm one of the ones preaching it, we've got to come together. We must find a way to come together, all of us. There's no point having one mob out the front saying, oh, yeah, it's my way or the highway. Because you're not going to unite people behind you, not enough. And that's a problem. We need enough people behind us. And if we can't figure this out, how the hell are we going to benefit all the people who don't have their eyes open when it comes time for new elections and putting people in place who are going to be, first and foremost, working for the people? How are we going to be able to do that if we can't figure this shit out now? Anyway, enough of that. Moving on. Jimmy Barnes, God love him, is in hospital, and he has some rather nasty pneumonia. Now, when I say rather nasty pneumonia, every kind of form of pneumonia is nasty. Most forms of pneumonia can be killed, I believe, with antibiotics. But then there's this lady who is a doctor. She might know a bit more. Fancy name for white lung syndrome. It is a bacterial pneumonia, 100% treatable with antibiotics. By the way, all pneumonias show up on chest x-rays as white cloudiness. It's one of the ways we diagnose it. Now, Barnsley's particular version of pneumonia just happens to be one of the many side effects of the jibbity jab that he promoted. Just happens to be. Now, I've got to say, one of the weirdest things that I have seen in a little while is Sky News had the story of Barnsley not being able to make a rock concert last weekend down in Victoria and hadn't been able to do the Rock the Boat tour. He was due to do a return from Noumea to Sydney, I think. But he couldn't because he was in hospital. Now, that pneumonia is definitely the side effect. Written right on the side there, or not right on the side, written right on the release that happened a little while ago, which I'm not sure if I still have in my folder here to show you, but I don't. But definitely part of it. Now, Sky News allowed comments on that, and most of the comments were encouraging Barnsley to go and get another climate change booster, thanking God that Barnsley and his family were fully protected from the jibbity jab and that they were such high supporters of it. And that, in fact, these were really quite rude, cutting, funny comments, which ordinarily I wouldn't have thought Sky News would allow, but there was a lot of them. I'm not sure if the story's still up there, but certainly a very interesting Yeah, very interesting set of circumstances. Now, we are being told all sorts of different things as to why people are dying. Now, we are being told nothing to see here, nothing to see here, heart attacks, nothing to see here, strokes, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. Well, now, blood clots, it seems, we can discount blood clots being anything to do with the jibbity jab from now on, because there's been a new report out. It finds the common fart can trigger a killer blood clot disorder. Scientists have only discovered it for the first time. There's going to be people out there who believe that, folks. Really. There's going to be people out there that believe that. So have a bit of fun with them. Speaking of having a bit of fun, if you're in the market for house sales at the moment, a very interesting article has been put out in the US listing some of the celebrity houses that are for sale. Here's a list. Now, I will point out that this list contains the home of Katharine Hepburn, Don Rickles, and I'm pretty sure Stockard Channing died some years ago too. Now, that's not to say that the houses aren't held still in that name. I want to say Katharine Hepburn had a New York apartment. And Don Rickles, well, he was Hollywood, wasn't he? So I'm just a bit, I don't know. If you want to go and dig into it and find out whether or not Don Rickles' house is A, for sale, B, still in his name, I'd be interested to find out, but I'm not interested enough to go and look myself. This is a bit of good news. Australia has ceased its multi-million-dollar donations to the Clinton family charities. You might remember the red-headed clown set this up, and under crud, I think he was part of it as well. But we were handing out millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. In fact, for 10 friggin' years, for a total of a bit more than $88 million. Now, where did that $88 million go? Well, the Clinton Foundation, a bit of a rocky past. It was described as a slush fund and is still at the center of an FBI investigation. Apparently, it was revealed to have spent more than $50 million on travel. I think we paid for the daughter Clinton's wedding. If it wasn't us, it was Canada or somebody else. So news.com.au actually reporting, something of mild interest there for a little bit. But that was also set up under that twerp Alexander Downer. Remember him? You also remember what he was responsible for? We need a way of investigating all of this when the time comes, folks. And the only way we are going to get the people in place to investigate this is by uniting, coming together. It's the only way we can do it. At least until somebody can convince me a better way. But if we don't gain control, if we don't get the people running the country, sitting in the positions of power, who can do a fair, open, and honest evaluation of the true facts and are able to sniff out bullshit when they're presented as fact, then we're rooted, got to say. I think Nicole Kidman's clone went out over the weekend. She was seen at the Balenciaga fashion show in Los Angeles. I don't know. Is that Nicole? I don't know. Clones, no clones. The fact is Balenciaga was pretty well exposed this year for what it truly is. And here's Sky News reporting this major news with her good friends Salma Hayek and Kim Kardashian there as well. Is the Balenciaga thing being brought back to our faces for a reason? Maybe. I would hope that could be the case. But, never know. I've got one final thing I want to share with you tonight, and that was we talked one day last week. I started talking about John Trump, Donald John Trump's uncle. He was the guy that was associated with Tesla. I did mention that you might want to look up a picture of him and Julian Assange. Somebody sent it to me. So there you go. That's John Trump in the top left-hand corner, and Julian, obviously, down the bottom. That is a superimposed of both on the top right-hand corner. I don't know. You can make up your own mind. I think that's something that we should all be able to do. Use our own discernment, as I say. Now, I wanted to. There was one thing I wanted to talk about. I just want you to remember this.
Alexa, when will World War III start?
World War III starts on November 23, 2023 at 6:05 p.m. when Russia launches an attack.
Just remember that. Now, Elon Musk, we talked about earlier, he's starting a trend. Go fuck yourself. I think there should be a T-shirt right along the side of the Leave Me a Fuck Alone party. We'll have to get that together. You know, men T-shirts. However, this fella has come out with what he thinks could be the next plan. It's something apparently being touted through X.
We just heard from Elon Musk, who put a mandate through X, which is formerly known as Twitter, to say that he wants to have X be a bank. He wants it to be your complete financial service company. He wants your checking account there, your savings account. He wants you to trade stocks. He wants the ability for you to pay online bills. He wants it all under one roof. Will you use Elon Musk's bank, the Bank of Elon? Will you do that? Okay? And again, this is something that he says he wants done in 2024. The thing that I think about is this guy knows that banking as we know it is about to collapse. He wants to be at the forefront of this. He wants to own the bank. What do you guys think?
So, could that be the case? I've been talking a lot with people over the weekend regarding both sides of the conversation here with Q. Is it a PSYOP? Of course it's a PSYOP. Who's PSYOP? That's probably more interesting. And there has been some enlightening argument put forward as to what people perceive the Q phenomenon to be and what it really is. I'm not ready to talk about it completely yet, but hopefully in the not too distant future, we will have this conversation. In fact, there are some very interesting rebuttal type videos to Q that aren't saying, oh, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. It just spins it in a different light, and a light that many normies might find a bit more appealing if you were to tell them about it, as it might be a little bit more able to swallow. But I'm doing some evaluations with it at the moment, so we'll just see. I might be just talking out of turn. Let me just have a look down here into your comments and see what I've found here tonight. I think there was a troll up here somewhere before. Aussie's half hour, radio half hour. So what am I doing about what? Or maybe that's not anything to do with me. I shall scroll down. G'day to everybody who is in the chats tonight. There was something I did want to show you. Let me share a screen. So at the moment, for folks who may not be aware, there is a cyclone brewing over the Solomon Islands. Now, okay, what's so weird about that? Well, what's weird is that at this time of the year, cyclones generally do not brew on this side of the continent. Normally, at this time of the year, they're starting out in the Indian Ocean and are battering up against the continental shelf and up north there. But this one is starting early. It's starting on the wrong side of the continent, and it's starting lower than they normally would come out. Now, predictions are at the moment that this is going to intensify over the next week. It is either going to take a track south of New Guinea and then across the top of Australia back into the Gulf of Carpentaria, or it will come down and hit central Queensland, or what is deemed to be a fairly remote chance at this stage, it will come further south and get into southeast Queensland. Now, I've experienced quite a few cyclones from southeast Queensland, and I know that you can have a category 3 or 4 cyclone up north of Cairns and 700 to 1,000 kilometres offshore and still get 100 millimetres every 20 minutes in rain. So keep an eye on what's going on with that. And I know that we have some weather watchers that watch this show. And when I say weather watchers, these guys are more interested in watching the pulses that go into the weather than anything else. So, guys, keep an eye out there. I've got a sneaking suspicion you're going to find there's a boat north of the Solomon Islands. And depending on which way they want to push it, there'll be one somewhere between North Queensland or Central Queensland and New Guinea, maybe up into the Torres Strait, just to angle the thing south. And if they want to bring it all the way south, well, then they're going to need probably a bit more power, a bit closer to shore. So we'll just see how that plays out. Sorry, I'm looking up there because that map that you're seeing is up there for me. So keep an eye on that. And if you happen to be in the path of it, then get your cyclone kits out early, folks. It looks like it might be an interesting season for it all. Thank you to the folks who put a sticker in for tonight. I guess that reminds me, because Vince will tell me off. Thank you for throwing a few stickers our way in this program, and thank you for doing what you do, donating and joining as members. But we need more of you. We need more members, and we need to try and get a few more bucks together, to make a repair. Admittedly, some of the repairs, thankfully, are going to be covered under insurance. Win. But unfortunately, not the air problems that I'm having with the engine, and I'm going to need to find a couple of grand for that at the very least. So we are always taking donations at voiceoffreedom.com.au. I have a Galactic Larrikin hanging around still with me at the moment, and I've been promising them that we are going to get into this radio station, and he's going to help me with some music issues that we've got to fix up before we can actually start generating proper shows. And hopefully that'll be a thing that we'll get done tomorrow. And I might give out a test show, if you like, on there in the next few days. And I'll throw a link up where you'll be able to find the radio station. By that stage, we will have it populated with music. There may not be a lot of talking on it at the moment, but there'll be a lot of music. And we're going to build it up from there. So very excited to get it going. And I'm looking forward to getting into it with Rob tomorrow. So looking forward to that. Hopefully you are too. And that'll be in reply to somebody who sent me an email today that just said, start the bloody radio station with you. Sunflower, God love you. Thank you so much. I'm planning on coming up your way in the vehicle before Christmas. So if we have that opportunity, it'll be filled with white hats for you. And we would love to catch up if that opportunity presents, and I'm sure it will. Also, I want to say good evening and thank you to Len. Now, Len is a long-time watcher, big-time contributor, sends huge amounts of emails to me and a lot of other people. Now, Len is a very, very intelligent man with a very interesting career history. He's done everything from drive trucks to fly airplanes commercially, and studied law, all sorts of different bits and pieces. So I haven't spoken to you, Len. I need to give you a call. I just want to tell you, mate, that I've been thinking of you lately, and I hope all things are well with you. Sudsy, well, it's not a matter of not being allowed to fart, but apparently by farting you could trigger a blood clot problem somewhere in your asshole. They used to be called hemorrhoids, I thought. Just saying. Not so much a blood clot, but yeah. Anyway, that'll be the excuse. You know, you strained too hard, you compressed all your blood, it joined together and coagulated and became a clot because you were pushing too hard. Oh, God, there's going to be people out there that believe that. My God. Somebody I saw, where was that? Rest in peace, farts. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, because the human body is always going to be having to relieve itself of the gaseous bits that we can't process, there'll be a problem. But if you look at what the evil ones have planned to us, then we will have our mouths sewn to the asses of somebody in ahead of us. So when they fart, we'll be eating it and the rest. That was their plan for us. The human centipede, they call it. a very bad, ugly, horrifying thing. Yeah, not good. Sunflower, your councillors are crapping themselves. Yeah, my place is definitely making a dent. And the Sunshine Coast particularly, I don't know if Camillo's in the house tonight. Camillo and his team up there, and I'm not sure it's even his team. I'm just saying that because I know Camillo. But there is a group up there that are just dynamite. They're kicking ass, and they know how to get right into council and hold them accountable, which is what they have to do. They were instrumental in making council back down on the threat of evicting 3 women and children from 3 separate dwellings on one property during this housing crisis. And it is still a housing crisis. Nothing has changed. They've been instrumental in setting up food programs for the homeless and displaced around the Sunshine Coast, which when I was living up on the Sunshine Coast a bit over 12 months ago, there were sleeping rough every night over 3,000 people just on the Sunshine Coast. Now I can't imagine that number's decreased at all. So Camillo and his team, God love them, doing a bloody great job up there, and keep pushing the council. And if you haven't been able to get much action out of yours, then maybe you need to make contact with Camillo and the team up there, find out what they're doing. I know they do share with the My Place national team in their Zooms and whatnot. Oh, speaking of Zooms, now these pain patches, everybody who's contacted me regarding the pain patches, thank you so much for A, your support, and B, for your requests. I'm very happy to send you out a couple to try, and I hope and pray that they make a difference in your pain level or in whatever ails you. There's no guarantees in life. I don't give medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but they've worked for me. And of the 30 people I've handed them out to, 28 have all reported positive effect and large positive effects, from small to large. I should be fair to say. But the small ones are big, like arthritis, easing arthritis. Maybe not getting rid of it completely, but let's face it, they only had 2 patches. So something that was more ongoing might be more beneficial. So I just want to thank everybody who's been a part of that and who's gone off and purchased, because you can't wait. Now, if you want to learn more about the whole system with these patches, then Tim Dwyer is having a Zoom meeting on Wednesday night. And he's asked me to share that with you guys if you want to go and check it. So anybody who has actually gone and bought a packet of these patches, you're going to get an email from me with that Zoom link. So you can choose to go and have a look at it or not, but Tim's just going to explain the whole system in very, very basic terms. And, there's no obligation. As I say, there is absolutely no obligation to buy with any of this, but he'll outline the different products. I've actually ordered some more, and they wouldn't let me order another packet of these pain patches. I had to try a different patch. So I'm actually trying one for energy, fitness, that kind of thing, because I'm determined to try and lose a bit of weight. Now, I'll let you know how they go, but I'm going to be the guinea pig for that to see, what difference it makes to my levels of energy. Because let's face it, my energy ranges somewhere between sort of slug and snail on a good day. Very rarely do I get to roadrunner. So I want to see that lift up, and hopefully that can improve my outer self as well. I'd be very happy for that. But if you're interested in learning more about it all, then I will send you all an email, and you can click on that, and it'll take you into a meeting with Tim. I think he said on Wednesday night. So I might even try and pop into that too, because God knows I could use some help learning to deal with the numbers. Craig, you're telling, there's a homeless story we don't like hearing about. Homeless story found chopped up in America. I was reading a story today of a young man who was sentenced to 3 years suspended for being the driver of a vehicle. He took his mate around with a pellet gun on hobo shooting night or hobo hunting. They shot an elderly grandmother asleep on the streets in front of I think it was a hairdresser, and she didn't get killed or anything. It was a pellet gun, but assault with a deadly weapon. The guy who pulled the trigger went to jail. This kid's very lucky not to. But what sort of mentality are our kids having? Well, I'll tell you, and God Almighty, I sound like my parents slapped me stupid. Games like Grand Theft Auto, where you're encouraged to jump out of the car and beat up someone for money, or slap a hooker around for money, or just drive your car down the street and mow people down for points. Maybe my parents were right. Maybe they do have an effect. So, I don't know. We've got a hell of a lot of good shooters out there thanks to Call of Duty. But equally, if you're anything like me, we've got a shitload of very good, fighter flyers or spaceship flyers, people who understand and have already got their head around flying upside down in all dimensions. There are a lot of those sorts of video games out there too. So maybe we're being programmed that way for what's coming in the future. But I got to say, some of what happens with the video games today does seem to be translating, in my opinion, to what we're seeing on our streets, and I think that's just awful. Now, okay, Aussie Sue, I'm not sure if this is relating to me or something else, but I actually noticed when I went to Rumble. Oh shit, I haven't looked at the Rumble channel. Sorry, guys. Oh yeah, there's a few of you in there. So evening to all you guys. Yeah, so when I was looking at the Rumble channel, my Facebook channel rather, it was, my video was still up, but they are taking things down at a supreme rate. And in fact, I'm just looking on another site now, and apparently it's been, well, maybe it's not available on my Facebook anymore. If it's not, I will be uploading it to my Rumble account. So watch out for that. There is a lot of information coming out about that whole New Zealand thing. We're not going to let it be hidden. The cat is out of the bag. The video has been copied by millions of us around the world. It will be shared and shared and shared on whatever platforms and wherever ways we can. And it is important information if you are at all interested in what could happen here, but especially if you've got friends and family in the South Island and you may have lost them in the last 3 years due to the spicy cough. These people will be made to pay. These people will be made to pay. They have to be. So I don't know that I've got too much more for you tonight, folks. I just want you to be positive. I really do believe a lot of good things are happening. I feel in myself very calm, very calm. There is all sorts of shit going down in the world. Keep an eye on what's happening with the supposed attack on American ships in the Middle East. This morning it started out with news as 1. Now I've heard stories it might be as many as 3. I don't think they had 3 ships up there, but one of them apparently is quite damaged. So that could kick something off fairly interesting, because it would really be only Iran-backed militants who could have that sort of power, unless the Chinese or the Russians happen to be in town. So keep an eye on that. That's going to be interesting over the next few hours. It will also draw attention away from what's happening in Gaza. And the supreme destruction of what's happening of Gaza is continuing. Now, they are using some very, very heavy explosives. And if you are unaware, Israel has a plan to build a channel like the Suez Canal. Okay, now there's a reason they want to build this channel, not because they think it's great and going to be good for water. It's because the Suez Canal is controlled by Egypt, and Egypt is part of BRICS. So shortly, they will not accept, anything but precious metals to transit the Suez Canal. And that will cut that whole part of the Middle East, including Israel, off. They need to do a deal with Saudi Arabia and plow a trench. And that looks a lot like what they're trying to do at the moment, soften up the ground with the explosives. Who knows? They could flood it. Nothing's beyond the pale at the moment. So keep an eye on that. Israel will never, I don't think, allow the Suez to be lost to them unless they have another option. And that would be the Cabal option, where they don't have to go through the whole BRICS thing and they can keep a fiat currency or a US dollar or whatever other fake currency they come up with operating. If they don't get that, they can be cut off, literally cut off. So something to keep an eye out for, folks. That's what's also happening up there at the moment. But I'm going to do a Rumble show where we will feature more data and excerpts from Liz Gunn's show. You may have already seen a brilliant piece that Maria Z did with her. I'm not sure if it wasn't even over the weekend or Friday night with her. I think Maria, somebody has said in the Rumble chat, she's talking with someone in New Zealand about it at the moment too. So look, if you have an opportunity and you're in New Zealand, you want to talk to me about it, love to hear from you. Email me, carl@vofhq.com. And I'm very happy to tell the story. And if you've got any pictures you want to share or anything like that, then happy to do that too. Thanks for your support, folks. We do need it. At the moment, our costs outweigh our incomings by a fairly significant amount. So if you can help, go to Voice of Freedom, vofhq.com. And as I say, the radio station is, well, much closer than it has been previously. Does that make you feel a lot better? It makes me feel a lot better. And if you are going out on the roads, you know who you have to avoid?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!